everybody, hope you're all staying nice and safe. So we are the keepers from the domestic team, and today we are going to do a mini bee show for you on this episode of Bring the Zoo to You. I hope you enjoy. So my name is Lauren and I'm responsible for the hothouse and some of the hoof stock here at Northumberland Zoo, and I hope you enjoy meeting some of our animals. We'll start off with one of our invertebrate species. So this beautiful lady here is Martha Millipede. Now Martha is one of 10,000 different species of millipede, and when she is fully grown, so around about 12 inches, is actually the largest of the 10,000 species. So she is a black trained millipede. They're from Africa. They'll have 4 legs to each segment of their body. Now when they're fully grown, they'll have up to 40 segments, so they are quite big. Now these guys often get mistaken for centipedes. However, centipedes have a little bit more of an attitude problem. They are fast moving carnivores, whereas millipedes are slow moving herbivores. So what they'll do is go around the forest floor where it's a bit more moist and a bit more cool, and they'll eat leaf litter, fallen fruits, and bugs like these are really important for the environment, because what they do is make passage by eating all that litter on the floor, so the sun and the rain and the weather can come in and help new vegetation grow. So bugs like these are super important for the environment.
Hi, so my name is Claudia and I'm one of the domestic keepers here. But first off, before I show you this really cool animal, I want to do a massive shout out to Bella and her mum for her lovely message. And your video of your own mini bee show was so good, and I can't wait for you to come and visit again. First off, I've got a Macleay Spectre stick insect, or also known as a prickly stick insect. Now, if you look really close, they get their name from this is because they've got loads of spikes and stuff on all over their backs, all over their legs. So they've got really sharp claws at the end. They've got little hooks so they can do a really cool trick, and it's just that. So basically they disguise themselves as leaves, and what they do when predators come along, they just fly around and they don't actually notice that it's a leaf on a tree. So you can't see them, and that's why they won't get eaten. So I've got a female here. Now we know it's a female, it's because it's got tiny little wings on its back. Whereas the males, they have really long wings and they can actually fly. So the females don't fly, but the males do. And that's why we don't get the males up for the mini bee show, or they'd be flying around in your faces, which is not cool. I hope you enjoyed meeting our prickly stick insect, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!
Hey guys, my name's Dan and I'm one of the reptile and invertebrate keepers here at the zoo. This is Bagheera. Now Bagheera is a panther chameleon. Now these guys are native to the northern coastal regions of Madagascar. So where they come from is very warm, so anyone that's ever been to the zoo and been in our hothouse will know that this is perfect for him. However, it's not very humid in here, so what we have to do is we have to spray him on a daily basis. But not only for that reason, it's also because chameleons actually can't see still water. So even if we left a bowl of water in for him, he's unable to actually see that and identify it as water, and would actually go incredibly thirsty. So we spray it so that naturally the way they'd get the water would be with the morning dew on the leaves, and when it rains, the water droplet would roll down the leaves, and that is what he would recognise and therefore drink. So that's exactly what we replicate here for him. Now, a common myth with chameleons is that they can actually change their colour to blend into their environment. It's completely inaccurate. They can change their colour to an extent, but generally it's only a lighter or darker version of what they currently are. The colour changes is more to do with if they're defending territories or trying to either attract a mate or intimidate one in a male's case. The females, if they're carrying eggs. As well, sometimes to do with temperature and just general mood. If they're having quite a bad day, you'll notice that they're quite a bit darker. Bagheera here right now is gorgeous bright colours, so he's perfectly happy. He's a very, very confident, happy chameleon that likes being out and meeting everybody. So the way that these guys eat is also particularly interesting. In the wild, they'll eat things like grasshoppers, locusts, crickets, that sort of thing, and we'll replicate that with most of those same sort of feed items here at the zoo. Now, the way that they'll eat is both of their eyes move independently, so you'll know when they've spotted the food, because both eyes will lock on perfectly forward onto that food, and then they will shoot a tongue out. Now their tongue is almost the length of their body, not including their tail. And that tongue will shoot out, it's got a sticky part on the end which will grab that insect and draw it back into the mouth. So it's pretty impressive to watch. So really hope you enjoyed learning about Bagheera today, guys. And hopefully it won't be too long before you can get down to the zoo and meet him in person for yourselves.
Okay, so this is a central bearded dragon, so one of 8 species. So in the wild, these guys would be from Australia. Now these guys tend to prefer where it's really hot and dry, so in the desert areas, at the edge of woodlands and rocky outcrops as well. Now this is an omnivore, which means that they eat both vegetation, meat and insects as well. He also has a secret. So how many eyes do you think he has? Now I bet a lot of you are seeing 2 when actually he's got a secret. He has what's called a third eye. Now this is really hard to spot, especially on a dragon that's so lightly coloured, like Bernie here. But it's located right at the top of the head, in between their actual eyes, and what this is for shadow detection. So if you can imagine a bird of prey looking for food up in the sky, the bearded dragon will use the third eye to see the shadow approaching, so he knows to run away for shelter as quick as possible. So these guys are quite solitary species. They come together to mate, to impress females, where they'll do their little mating dance, where their little arms will jump up and down, and they'll also head bob and display their beards. However, with males, they will be very territorial and do a war dance and a head bob to get them to go away. They can actually live to around about 20 years of age, and they are covered in all these little spines, which not only helps them in their camouflage, they're also used to ward off predators. So they can't actually hurt because they are very, very soft. However, what they do is look quite intimidating. So if you see a big spiny dragon, you're not going to want to eat it, are you? No. So I hope you've enjoyed meeting Bernie, and stay safe, guys.
Hey guys, right, so who we've got here is 2 of our leopard geckos. We do have 3 at the zoo, unfortunately, my hand just wasn't quite big enough. So this here is Pongo, he's our male, and this is Jean, one of our females. Now Pongo is nothing to do with their sex, the way that they're coloured. It's purely and simply, people have bred different colours over the years in captivity. The natural colour that you'd find in the wild would be Pongo here, but then they come in everything from pretty much pure white to pure black. Jean being one of the colours that do exist. Leopard geckos, like these guys, come from very warm, dry, Middle Eastern countries, Iran, Pakistan, those kind of places, so they're desert dwellers basically. They are a nocturnal species. So unlike a lot of the reptiles, certainly the bearded dragon that you've seen earlier, who's very much a sun worshipper and will go out and find the warmest possible sunniest spot and sit there and get a fantastic suntan, these guys prefer to get it on their tummies. So obviously when they go out at night, it's dark, the sun isn't out, so what they'll do is they'll find those rocks that the sun's been beaten down on all day and will absorb the heat from the bottom upwards. Now, just like camels, leopard geckos' tails are very much like a camel's hump. That is not filled with water like a lot of people think is on a camel's back. It's filled with exactly the same thing. It's a fat reserve. So basically when they've got a nice big chunky fat tail, just like Pongo does, you know you've got a pretty healthy, well-fed leopard gecko. Now what they can do with those tails, however, is they can drop them should a predator happen to grab them by the tail, or even just near the tail. They can drop that tail off. It'll remain wriggling for a short while, long enough to distract the predator while the lizard runs off and just regenerates a new tail, just as Jean has done. So you'll see the shape difference with Jean's tail. It's a lot shorter and an awful lot fatter compared to Pongo's much longer, properly shaped tail. And that's because when she was younger, before she actually came to live at the zoo, Jean did lose her tail and regenerated it. So I hope you enjoyed meeting our leopard geckos today, guys. Let's see what's next.
Hi guys, so our next animal that we've got here is a blue-tongued skink. Now this little guy is called Boot because it looks like he's wearing little boots. So blue-tongued skinks, they're found in Australia. So he gets his name from the blue-tongued skink because of his bright blue tongue. Now in the wild, when a predator comes along, what he'll do is that he'll open his mouth, stick his bright blue tongue out, and he'll hiss super loud. And basically this confuses the predator because they're like, what's that blue thing there? And this gives him enough time to run away. And he can be very quick when he wants to be. Blue-tongued skinks, they can live for about 20 years and they are omnivores, so they love any sorts of insects. They'll eat fruit and veg as well, so just like you guys at home having your fruit and veg. Hey bud. They'll have peas, apples, carrots, anything, but one of his favourite vegetables is peas, and his favourite bugs is worms. So he'll do anything for a worm and he'll be super quick. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed meeting Boots, and hopefully you can meet him in person as well. Bye!
So this is the last animal that we're going to show you today. One of our more unpopular residents at the zoo. This is Debbie, the Chilean rose tarantula. One of 7 tarantulas that we have currently living here at the zoo. Up until relatively recently, these were very, very common. All over the pet trade, you could go into most exotic pet shops and find these guys. But thankfully, very recently, they've become a lot more strict with the importation and selling of these, because the majority used to be wild caught, which obviously for any species is not a good thing. So they've become a lot more few and far between now, but we're lucky enough to actually have 3 of them here. So Chilean rose tarantulas are from obviously Chile, Bolivia, Argentina, South America in general. The females of this species, as is the case for a lot of the tarantula species, the females live an awful lot longer than the males. Sort of 25 plus years, whereas the males, generally 6 is classed as a pretty decent age. So we're lucky, all 3 of ours are females. Obviously it does mean, unfortunately, no baby tarantulas, but it does also mean that we'll have all 3 of our girls for quite some time to come. These guys are venomous, which means in these fangs down here, they can inject venom. Now that venom, especially on this species, isn't enough to do us any harm. Of course, there is some people that, just like with bees and wasps, might be allergic to it, but it's not enough generally to do any harm. It is quite similar to a sort of wasp sting. What's actually the thing to look out for on these guys is the hairs on their bums here. Now what they'll do is they'll use these 2 back legs to flick those hairs out. They're covered in microscopic little barbs, and when they land on your skin, they're going to embed within your skin, and it is incredibly itchy. However, with a well-handled, well-socialised tarantula such as this, that's very, very unlikely. But that's actually the end that you've got to look out for. Okay guys, so I do hope that you enjoyed our mini beast show today, and meeting up some of our reptiles and invertebrates. Hopefully it will not be too long before you can be back here at the zoo doing it for real in person and meeting these guys. So in the meantime, thank you very much. Do continue to watch our videos, and we'll see you soon.
Bye!
All of which have that typical tilt.
I did not do anything.